Welcome to the Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show will have a talk about a Linux project, generally a distribution, but it could be an application or a desktop environment. Really anything that is Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. With me today is a larger panel. Now that I properly let people into the Zoom chat, I have Vash, Colin, Jinda, Eris, Leviticus, Sravan. I said it wrong again. I apologize. Dan, Schickel, welcome. It's so nice to have you guys. I'm Nate. I consider myself a Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the Open Sousa project. And welcome all.
Are you sure it's almost? I don't think so.
On the docket for today, we're going to discuss an application appetizer, the Myuzi. Am I saying it right? We're going to check what's Myuzi. Well, that sounds violent.
Myuzi.
We're going to check out.
It's Myuzi. I think it's Myuzi.
Myuzi?
You
Okay.
monetize right there.
There we go.
Myuzi.
That's right, we're not monetized to
Myuzi.
begin with.
Oh.
We'll check what's on the menu for next week. We'll do a news flight, community free pour, and a last call. But first, we're going to see what people are doing in Linux and tech. So that agenda, I understand you have been breaking or playing or something your Raspberry Pi. So please share with the class what you've been doing.
I decided to try to play Doom 3 on a 55-inch television for fun.
Oh,
And well, I looked up the specifications of Doom 3, and back in a billion years ago when Pentium 4s were commonplace, they were so slow and sluggish the Raspberry Pi can do something like Doom 3 without a problem. To install it, I think it was Nova Spirit Tech. He's the guy who tried to figure it out. And there's a program called Pi Apps
okay.
that pretty much does it for you. The only thing you got to basically do is paste in the original game files and you can play Doom 3, or it automatically will download the shareware or trial version for you for free, which I thought was a really nice program called Pi Apps, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. The other one that I ran was Pi Commander. And Pi Commander is a really nice program to be able to overclock with ease and change how much RAM you're using for your GPU. And the last program I was using was called Pi Kiss, and that's the same thing that was like Pi Apps, but it has a lot more features in it for more games and stuff if you're interested in trying to play them on the Raspberry Pi. I'll have to put links up to some of these programs if you're into your Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
This is something you would probably hopefully want.
No, it sounds cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I actually got Grand Theft Auto to work on it.
Oh, wow.
That
Wait, which one?
Yeah, Vice City.
Wow. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
The only issue I had is I have the original CDs and I installed it in Windows 10.
Okay.
And when I went to install it, they had a file called something silly like required files.txt, and it didn't match. It didn't match the original ones. Evidently, when you download it from Steam, they're new. So I just had to make a new file. I just had to create a new file with a listing of all the original files from the game. And then it worked flawlessly. I thought it was interesting, though, that it would work. I didn't think Vice City would work, but it was working great.
Well, that's really fantastic.
So are these apps distro agnostic, or are they only for the Raspberry Pi OS?
They're only for the Raspberry Pi. It's because the Raspberry Pi, is very limited.
OS, like Raspberry Pi OS, or can I run it on Arch Linux or something else?
You made it all on the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, I think you could run it on other apps for the Raspberry Pi, on other operating systems, but it's only Pi related. That's what I thought. Yeah, I'll put a link for the stuff.
Okay, thanks.
Well, that's very
I
cool.
haven't done much gaming on the Pi yet. I've been just using it for development purposes, so I want to play with it more, maybe when I have time.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's so much fun.
Yeah, definitely share the links to that with the whole class so we can, play along.
I'm pasting them in as one at a time.
Okay, so Colin, I understand then you have been having some adventures with Nix.
Yeah, I thought I'd give the new Nix a try because it's now installable using the Calamaris installer, which I thought was pretty amazing because it takes away the command line and file thing that you used to do. everything went well and everything seemed to work okay, except if you had anything with light DM seems to be an issue. So I tried to install, what was it, the Cinnamon desktop, Pantheon desktop. The only thing that really worked so far was the GNOME desktop. And then when you make changes to the configuration file and add another desktop, it should add another boot generation, which it does, but it fails to boot into any desktop or graphical environment, which is a shame because that worked flawlessly in the last release. So I don't know whether there may be some issues with that. I haven't really had a chance to check it out, but I thought it was me that was doing some wrong things, but as it turns out, it's not. I think there must be a problem with Light DM. So I don't know if anyone's aware of that, but it's a bit of a shame because last time I used it, I was adding desktops and the desktops. I remember the Pantheon desktop in Nixos was flawless. It was pretty much the same as using it on Elementary. So I was really looking forward to that, but turns out that it's not really working the way I wanted it to. So I did sort of move on from that. But I will probably go back to it. Maybe there's just some issues I'm unaware of. But it takes up a lot of time.
So as you're working on this next project, what is kind of your end state goal you're trying to achieve out of this? Like what are you going to consider success out of this this?
I wanted to see what, because it has generations, and I think every generation, if you boot into a different desktop, it's still sharing the same. I believe it shares the same system user files. So any changes you make to the desktop will not affect anything within your home documents and whatever. That all remains the same. So you can sort of, and if you try installing different applications, that again creates a new generation. So the generations are a snapshot, but you can go back to any generation that you like, especially if that generation didn't work correctly and it didn't boot or something was wrong or you didn't like it, you can just go back to where you were. So I find that pretty handy, and I wanted to know what that would be like dealing with that sort of environment and trying to run it as a normal desktop as well. So didn't quite get there to what I wanted. I could have kept using the GNOME desktop, but I wanted to see, but just installing it from the Calamaris installer and selecting Cinnamon and Pantheon on two separate occasions just did not work. So that was, I was trying to get that to work with different desktops, and I got a little bit hung up on that. But after sort of accepting that it wasn't working, I tried adding different applications within the configuration file. That all worked flawlessly, so there was no issues there. The generations seemed to work fine, just that I couldn't get into a graphical environment, anything using Light DM by the looks of it. So I wanted to test it, give it a test run and see how Nix works for me. But you know, changing environments was one of the things I was a little bit excited about, changing desktop environments, but didn't quite get there.
There's a lot of buzz around NixOS as of late, and it seems like there's a lot of like I don't know momentum behind that project. I mean, you got Schickel who's using NixOS, you know, on
what
on
OS
Mac.
is it using, or what desktop?
I think, well, Schickel says, of course, it runs great with GNOME. He's in the little chat text thing here, but
he's put something in chat. Yeah,
he did. Anyway, so it seems like there's a lot of momentum behind that project, and I can see the utility. I mean, it's a little bit less simple, I would say, than maybe to run, but once you get those configurations correct, and the fact that you can use it on Mac OS and so forth, there's something to be said, or any Linux distribution really, you can run NixOS packaging on. That is, I think it's very compelling. You know, maybe NixOS could be the next future targetable, you know, for software, next a future target, basically platform. It's just a thought.
Yeah, you can use the package manager elsewhere. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And as for basic applications, I mean, it's really not that difficult to set it up. But when it comes to something a little bit more complex where you have to, do a lot of configuration on the application, that's where it becomes a bit more complex to actually do that in the .nix files, Nix config files that you're wanting to really do that. But when it comes to just basic applications, fairly easy to do.
Yeah, basic applications is fine. I'm sure I was doing it correctly. I double checked everything, but yeah, as Shickle said, the GNOME was only thing working, so he must have had the same experience.
I think he's
Yeah.
poking fun at the fact that it's only GNOME. Were
A
you
bit of
using
both.
were you using the package or the option?
I was messing around with this Spiral Linux that Nate mentioned last week, and I tried adding packages on that, just on a live environment. So the packages seem to be working fine. It was the actual desktop environments. So you should be able to add a desktop environment, rebuild it, has a generation, you log into that, but and then I tried manually changing GDM to LightDM, and even that failed. So I don't know but I did a fresh install with a different desktop environment with Cinnamon, and a fresh install again with Pantheon. None of them went to a graphical environment. They all failed. So there must be issues. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, I haven't messed with the actual graphical installer, so I'm curious what it actually does. But if you go to the Nix package search, like on their website, there is a package and there is an option. And a lot of times for like a desktop environment and something like a login, I don't know if LightDM's particular in there, but there are options to set that up. And I don't quite understand fully the difference between the two, but I think the option might be what you want to use instead of the actual package itself. So that might be a way around that.
Okay, so as you can tell, I am not in my cubicle studio. I'm at Southeast Linux Fest, broadcasting, or if you want to call it broadcasting, webcasting the Linux Saloon. Southeast Linux Fest takes place in Charlotte, North Carolina, and so there's a lot of vendors here. I'm actually currently sitting at the Sousa booth because they're not here right now, and which is right across from like Ask Noah. I got the IX Systems is here, System 76. I got to play with the System 76 keyboard, and there's been some mixed reviews on it, and I have to say, that might be the smoothest typing keyboard I have ever used in my life. I know some people didn't like it, and some people really liked it. And I would say it's a premium keyboard. You could definitely hurt somebody with it.
Is it worth the money in it? It's like $300 or $400.
It's like $250-ish, I think is what it is.
Okay.
So it would be worth the money.
3/4 keyboard. I think they should charge 3/4 the price.
Aha. Yeah, maybe. So I actually like having a separate number pad. I don't like having it built onto the keyboard, me personally, because just the way I use the number pad. So I'm fine with it being separate. I think they should make a complementary number pad for it, but that's just me. There's some ham. It's like a ham club here, amateur radio club here. That's pretty cool. Lots of different.
We
EFF.
finished our amateur radio testing session just a little bit ago, and we now have not only several new technician class ham radio operators, but we also had some upgrades to higher ticket class. So we have at least one person who made extra class. So we're very happy. We had as many volunteer examiners as we did candidates testing.
That's awesome. Very cool. Also, I think which has also been great about being at Southeast Linux Fest is I got to actually meet some people like Leviticus, who we've seen many times on either in the chat or in Zoom. He actually has a face. Also, Linux Ninja, he also has a face. He's a real person. He's not just a voice that looks, a little bit dubious. He's a real person. So that was cool.
And you took your life in your own hands, Nate. You got in the vehicle and rode with me.
I did. He actually drove me around. So his truck is a fancy looking truck. It's got like a big screen in there. I don't know how he has any privacy in that truck. I'm sure it's, unless somehow he's running Arch on it.
I have a camera. Oh yes, the truck runs Arch.
Of course it runs Arch. But I got to attend some really great talks here at Southeast Linux Fest. And this is my first time going to any sort of like Linux convention. I've been to a vintage computer convention, but not a Linux convention. And I have to say it was definitely worth. Well, if you ask me, like, was it worth a 12-hour drive to get here? I will say yes. Yes, it was.
Is it Mark who gave a talk about did you bring a Windows laptop to Linux
Yes.
Fest or something?
Right? Yeah, Mark.
How was it?
It was a great talk. He actually gave a lot of other like really like fun side little bits of information. Like if you want to increase your Linux knowledge, he shared a site called Linux Upskill Challenge. That here I can put that in the chat, I suppose. And he did a lot of it was a really good chat. It was kind of like a more or less like a beginner kind of a Linux beginner chat, but absolutely was.
Okay.
And it was a really good talk. There was a pretty full room. I think I put a picture of it in the
You put a
Telegram.
picture,
Yeah,
I was
I
asking
did.
about it. I wouldn't have remembered it.
Yeah, no, it's really been a fun, very worthwhile trip. It makes me want to go to more Linux conventions, for sure. I don't know, has anyone here been to well, obviously Leviticus has, and because he's here, and then Linux Ninja has, because he's also here. It's probably around the corner someplace. I'm sure you wouldn't show your face on my camera. But how has anybody else been to like any kind of a Linux or some sort of tech, maybe nerd geek fest, Star Trek convention, anything?
Nope.
Nope. Yeah.
I don't know about Nerdfest, but I was at an academic conference the last week.
Oh, and what was it about?
My research at a presentation on Wednesday. It was in Atlanta. I just flew back yesterday night.
Back in the 90s, we had a convention called the Magnum Opus Con, and I think it was in Greenville, South Carolina. And currently we have Dragon Con, which people should know about in Atlanta.
Oh, that's cool. What is Dragon Con about?
Sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. They have a lot of celebrities that show up. Famous ones you've probably not heard of, like William Shatner and such. So
Yeah, never heard of
Dragon Con. Dragon Con is like the the really really huge, tens of thousands of people all in a small place type convention.
That's cool. So right now going on itself, there's I don't recall what the name of it was, but they have a challenge right now in the room right behind me. They got 4 machines that they're installing Linux on. They have a 486 computer, a PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4. I have no idea how they're going to install Linux on those things, but apparently it's a challenge and they're doing it right now. I guess it's going to also be streaming at some point. I don't know if they've started yet or not.
It's running now.
Okay.
It is live. Noah's in there streaming it.
All right. So if you want to watch that instead of Linux Saloon, totally got it. Not offended. But you should watch Linux Saloon. Anyway, so yeah, this Self, I think it was great. It didn't cost anything to actually attend, but I did want to sponsor, maybe like a sponsoring, what is it called? Their Linux Ninja.
I'm only an event volunteer. I don't have all of the administrative names down, but I don't pay to be here. I pay with my blood, sweat, and tears.
Right. Well, I don't, since I wasn't doing lifting a finger here for anybody. That's not true. I did help the ham people fill up some bags water bags for putting up their ham antenna. But outside of that, I really didn't do anything. But yeah, I wanted to like help sponsor this because I know that this is like the first time back. There's still some apprehension to in-person meetings. So the attendance here, I guess, was not as high as it normally is. I don't know. It seemed pretty packed to me, but I don't like crowds, so there's that. But it's fun. Definitely fun. Definitely a good time. I'm absolutely glad I came to this, and there is certainly a desire to perhaps in the future do a talk, perhaps. So we'll see how that goes.
Would it be about OpenSUSE or Commodore?
Is there a difference? I'm kidding.
Open Commodore.
Oh, I have my Commodore 64 Imposter runs OpenSUSE, so.
Yeah, you can combine both.
Well, all right. Okay, we're gonna move on to our application Appetizer. So we just some quick little rules on this. So we're gonna talk about the different aspects of this application, Myuzi, and discuss our experience of using it. And we're making a constructive conversation about the project. We don't want to be condescending toward it by saying, it's garbage or anything like that. That's not really helpful. But maybe I wish it had a specific feature. We want to benefit the conversation. So if the developers happen to be watching this at some point in time, they can say, this is really beneficial. The point is to highlight the positives, but not ignore the lowlights of the project as well. Remember, this is a labor of love for some, so let's not poo-poo on it. So Eris, we had a couple of straw polls. So in Telegram, we had 18% said it's amazing, 23% said it's okay, 0% said not having a good time with it, which is, I think that's very positive. 27% said I'm not interested in trying it, 14 unable to do the exploration, another 14 said not interested in general, 4% for other, and I'll get to that other later. In Matrix, said 20% said it's amazing, 20% said it's okay, nobody said they're not having a good time with it, 40% said I'm uninterested, 20% said I'm unable, and then nothing else. So Tyler Brown in Telegram said, reading its description, I pretty much already have an ad-free YouTube music via YouTube Premium. This would be more interesting if it were more like a self-hosted tool or a music vault like Google Play Music used to be. So I think that's interesting. So a little bit about Myuzi. It's a free and open source music streaming app for Linux. They have a version for Windows called Mui, I don't know. So unlike Spotify, it does not require an account. It has no advertisements. It's completely free. It uses your system GTK theme. All music is streamed directly from YouTube. So I kind of feel like it's supposed to be sort of like a Spotify, but not. I'm not really sure the direction that they're going with there. But nonetheless, it is a flat pack you can install. Now for me, it didn't really follow my system theme. It went for a light theme, and even though I have all the dark theme stuff installed, but that's kind of standard fare for Flatpak for me. I want to start off by asking then, the panel here, whoever wants to jump in first. So how was the setup process for you? Whoever can jump in, Colin.
The setup
Dan, great, Dan, could hop in. You started talking.
The setup was pretty simple for me. I just had to add it to, sudo apt install flatpak, blah, 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 and it installed. I didn't have to reboot the machine. It popped right up into the sound and media menu. It's pretty straightforward. When you open it up, there's a little more setup you have to do to get your music, but I don't want to spoil that if we're getting ahead of the game here.
Yeah, just the setup process. And so did it follow
It's pretty simple.
Did it follow your system theme?
It mostly was a white box with a black top and
Yep, okay.
I had to resize it because it was a little too small on my screen.
Okay. And it looks good to you? No issues?
It looks good to me. It's a box with a bunch of settings, or not even a bunch of settings, a few settings in it, and it does what it's advertised to do.
So Ben, I see your hand is up. So you want to? I know I got you just as you're taking a sip of your beverage. That's when I call on you.
Right,
But that's how it goes. All right.
It's Dr. Pepper, in case anybody was wondering.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
He's
and
a
the reason
pepper.
is, I'll plug really quickly, is
The only
because
doctor I
I'm
trust.
helping, I'll mention that after, but I unfortunately did not get to mess with my Myuzi this week.
Oh, man.
So the other thing I was going to say was, the reason I'm drinking that is because I need all the caffeine for after this, because I'm helping a friend after this with Linux from scratch.
Oh.
And we are going to be live streaming it, so it's going to be a heck of a long one.
Well, make sure you share that in the Telegram, so if someone wants to watch.
I will after the show. Don't worry.
Perfect. And did anyone else want to? Colin, do you have anything to say on Myuzi?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, I installed using Trizon on Arch and installed no problem, and works a treat.
Now, for those that did install it, did anybody have any issues with the installation process at all? Was there any issues? I can't imagine there were. It was a flat pack. It just ran.
It was as easy as installing Warpinator.
Okay. I've never installed that, so Warpinator doesn't sound simple, but that's just me.
Actually, that's a flat pack now too, and it's the simplest way to get files from one machine to another, like right now.
Oh, really? That's good information.
We'll talk about it maybe after we're done with this.
All right. Sounds good. So Was the general user experience? Did you find so when the screen pops up, you get the you have 3 tabs. You have playlist, search, and settings. Settings is pretty sparse, but in the play so you didn't. It's pretty much a blank screen. Did it seem intuitive to you as to how to create a playlist?
I should let someone else talk for
Well, I
a
saw
change.
Jinda. He started like I saw north and south from Jinda. So I don't know if maybe you want to kick in any thoughts on that.
I thought it was very, very simplistic and very, very simple to use. Other
Okay.
than, I mean, but there was so little there. I don't see how you couldn't figure out how to use it.
Okay. And that,
Yeah.
No instructions required.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't go into any README or how to or anything. I just looked at it and I said, oh, okay, I'll create a playlist. So did anyone create multiple playlists or like one playlist or what have you done? Okay, go ahead, Dan.
Okay. First of all, you click on the playlist thing and you give a playlist a name.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like 3 different ones. Then you like go to the search and you search YouTube. Like you can go by artist. Let's say Fleetwood Mac.
Okay.
Put Fleetwood Mac in there. And what it actually does is it goes out on YouTube and it pulls in Fleetwood Mac official music videos. And it takes the music from those and adds it to your search list. You go from the search list and click on the song and you add it to your playlist. It's
Right.
that simple. You keep searching for different stuff by using the search bar to build your playlist. It's that simple. I don't want to say anymore.
Okay.
Let someone else.
I just want to
tell us
look.
about their
This is
experience.
this is Linux Ninja. I still don't actually know what he looks like, but he is a real person. But this is Linux Ninja, so he's obviously a fan of Red Hat and keeping his identity very, very hidden. So there you go. Maybe Leviticus will stop by with a mask on his face too, but he didn't actually wear one when I saw him. So good times. Yeah, I have to agree with you, Dan. I thought the set up the playlist. I thought it was really easy. I set up 2. For me, I set up a Pump Jam playlist for all my Pump Jams, then a Star Trek playlist for all the Star Trek instrumental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, Colin, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just going to repeat what Dan said. It was a fairly simple process to use. It was a fairly simple app to use. Very convenient just to chill out when you're doing things on the computer that requires no brain power. You can just listen to instead of searching for the YouTube playlist and whatever. You don't have to open up a browser. You can just open this thing up and just start playing your favorite music just while you're on the computer doing things.
Yeah, I think, yeah, for sure it was like super simple to set up and so forth. Now, did you find? Oh, go ahead, Servan.
Oh yeah. So I just tried installing Myuzi through the AR package build. I think the dependencies are not there. I think more dependencies need to be added, like setup tools and requests. Like I couldn't like build it out of the box. I had to install setup tools separately.
Okay.
Python setup tools, and then I couldn't run the app. I had to install Python requests separately. So probably I'll raise an issue there to fix the package build. Like we can't run it on Arch.
I'm running it on Arch.
But did it run out of the box? Like I installed using the AUR, it didn't work for me.
Yeah, I used the AUR, but I used Trizon, so it built no problem at all. I didn't edit anything. I didn't edit any builds, just went straight through and installed. It's working fine.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It is interesting. Can you install Flatpak easily on Arch? Is that difficult to do?
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Flatpak's
It's
easy to do on any distro these days.
Well, I'm just asking. I don't know. I don't use Arch. It's
So
too.
it's like you have to run like 2 or 3 commands to set up Flatpaks, and once you set up that, it's like anything else. You can use like PAMAC, you can use BA, you can either use Discover or GNOME software if you have it to install like Flatpaks. But you need to like run like 2-3 lines of setup commands to enable Flatpaks. But after that, it's like any other distro.
What were you using to install through the AUR, Shravan?
Yay, I use Yay, Y-A-Y.
Are you using Yay? Okay, yeah. Okay, I use Trizen, so I don't know whether you want to try Trizen and see whether that works or not, but it's interesting.
No, it's like
that
two packages are not there. There are probably dependencies, so.
Right.
But it's working. The app is working. I'm able to play music. It's good, but it's easy. At least when you install the command line, it throws up an error. You clearly see what the error is, and you can fix it pretty easily. So it's fine.
Right. Oh, okay. All right. Sure.
So, Damon, else have any other thoughts on the playlists and whatnot, setting up playlists?
My feeling is it gets its music that you look for from whatever music videos that have been put on YouTube in the past. Okay. It doesn't like go to YouTube's special music repository and gets its musics from there. So whatever you can watch on YouTube, it fetches the music from that. And was what I was experiencing. And when it does that, you tend to get into some music that has different volume levels than others. And that's one of the issues you're going to run into with this. And there is no real good fix with it because all the stuff is pre-recorded at different levels. And that's really hard to fix.
Now, I did some searches on it. It pretty much it opens everything up that is YouTube for it. So do you think there's any confusion then? Like if you're looking for a song or whatever, would you find it any aspect of getting a song on the playlist, like getting the right thing, like not just some like commentary thing or whatever? Would you see any do you have any issues with that?
Oh, I thought the searches were pretty much the titles from YouTube, which are self-explanatory, really. I mean, official video, official audio, different names. I mean, they were self-explanatory and easy to just add.
Okay.
But that might, from my experience anyway. The only problem I had was I had to keep selecting a different sound volume because it kept the sound kept going off.
Okay.
I haven't experienced that since, but that was when I first started using it for some reason. But it seems to be working fine now.
Yeah, I agree. I think Linux just put in the chat that it's dead simple. Yes, it is. Were there any settings that you think that you wish you had in it?
It didn't minimize the taskbar. I thought that would kind of be nice.
Okay.
I kind of thought it would be nice since it's fetching its music from music videos that it would put the URL for the video somewhere like across the bottom or something like that. So if you wanted to copy and paste it into YouTube in your browser, you could actually watch the song's video along with the song if you stumbled across something, you wanted to see.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Did anybody think that it would have been nice to have maybe the video along with it too?
Yeah,
that's a bonus too, but that'd be a video player that goes out and fetches a variety of YouTube videos. And if you're not wandering around the house just listening to music and you're sitting here and you're engaged in watching music videos, that'd be awesome.
I think that would complicate it. Wouldn't that complicate it a bit more? Because you got to download the video, all the visuals and everything. Whereas to keep it simple, you just want to listen to some audio.
Bandwidth might be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think an important thing to consider really is, although music videos are associated with music, like a music player and library system should not be serving the function of what is essentially what your videos library system does. It creates the UI for something like that is going to be garbage. And two, the other thing as well is that there are apps that do specifically do that, and they do them pretty well. But if you want an audio app, mixing in video with it is just a bit much.
I think the URL ID all across the bottom would probably be is most.
Oh yeah, because that's just a source from where it comes from. I think that makes perfect sense, honestly.
There is an app in MX Linux, is it? MiniTube or something like that? That plays.
Yep.
Yeah, that does essentially what you were talking about, Nate, I believe.
I think Minitube is one I've used before as like a YouTube client that doesn't require a browser. But I stopped using Minitube because I wanted to comment on videos, and you can't comment with Minitube, so you can't sign in. It just pulls a feed from it, and I like to interact with the creators. Tell them positive things, things like that. I know it's fun for people to read, comments on their videos. So, all right, yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I did find with some of the music that I selected, it was laggy and loading some of it, up to 15 seconds before it would grab the next song and then play that song just fine after it got it. And the next one would start immediately. There was some gaps as it was choosing its stuff. And I think maybe that has something to do with the internet, the way it's fetching your music.
Yeah, that could be. I didn't notice any issues here, but I was playing it mostly here at Self, and the internet connection here in this hotel is way better than my house. So
I'm sure it is. Mine too.
So something important to note about apps like this, and this applies to something like YouTube DL streaming, for example, is that it has a tendency to have issues with that and be a little slower sometimes, because unlike visiting the YouTube website, which can do a lot of work to sort of load balance things by pulling off of different servers depending on where you are, and it can do that literally instantly as soon as you click on a video. When you go through streaming YouTube DL, it's basically just like, give me this file, and there's no optimization of it whatsoever. It's literally just, we're piping the actual file directly into the player, and then going from there. So that can take some time and be a little slow.
yeah, that's a good point. Also, I don't know if I'm pretty sure that this application, when it pulls stuff down, it's probably just pulling the audio stream. So I think that probably lends itself better to the idea of not
the audio and
only
throwing the video away.
Yeah, I know that there's a way to just pull one, so I'm sure that also improves like the load time or whatever the stream.
I think for several like general YouTube download apps, there is an option to just get the audio. I think that's what it's doing behind the backend. It's not getting the video and stripping the audio. There's a way to just get the audio directly from YouTube.
Well, all the music that I picked, I know there's videos for because I've watched them at least 8 or 9 times. So I'm inclined to believe that it actually goes into them videos and peels the music out of them and throws the video away. That's just one person's assumption.
No, Dan, like, have you tried some of the YouTube like downloader like plugins for Chrome or Firefox? It's like when you click the download, they give you options with MP4 and other audio formats.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think what this app does is like just get those audio files, because if it's stripping whatever you're saying, that it would probably
it's got to put it in a container.
Delay. Yeah, it will be a bigger delay. It's like it's just getting that audio file, but as I think Shikul or Nate said,
it can't just grab the audio file. It does have to strip from the video. The URL points to a video source which gets provided by YouTube through the API. There's no audio only option. It does on some level have to strip it away.
Well, so don't it have to put it in an audio container after it does that?
It does that as well. It just does it all in the back end. So
I can't.
Unfortunately, there's no way to get around that right now.
I don't. I'm speaking out of ignorance here, but out of like limited experience. But I know that when I use like YouTube DL, I can select what it downloads.
Yes.
And is it? And I do notice if I do. Go ahead.
If you pay close attention to like the progress thing of YouTube DL, you'll notice some like FFmpeg points. If you choose a different format or whatever, it has to actually move the video file and then strip it down.
Oh, okay. Right. This I did not know, because it seemed like the process was quicker when I just wanted to pull an MP3 versus pulling a full video. Like the actual process was quicker. So I wasn't sure if maybe it was communicating something different.
It can pull a lower resolution of the video to
okay. All right.
not have to do that.
That would make sense. Like a 140 or 144
Yeah.
or something like that. Okay. So there's still some video coming through, but probably maybe I'm gonna guess probably the lowest amount of video, lowest resolution
I
of video.
think it does the lowest, yeah.
All right. So my next
That
question.
sounded pretty good to
Weird.
me anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think
I
just
was going to say,
go ahead.
I don't know who selected this app to look at, but it was a fantastic choice, I must
I
say.
think it was Seeker.
Yeah, it was Seeker. I think it was between
Okay,
Seeker and
yeah.
Ben. They kind of pushed it on us, and we just kind of ran with it. So
Great choice.
yeah.
I've just been watching Linux Ninja look through music searches in the thing and just enjoying it. Just
It is fun to play with.
it's such a nice little touch.
Now the question is this an application you see yourself keeping and using, or is this something that's just a fun toy to play with for now?
I'm keeping it.
So Colin, you're keeping it. So it works well for
Yep.
you. So Jinda,
You know,
how
I
about
get
you?
the-
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Dan. I can jump around.
I feel this is an item that's designed for somebody that does not have the budget to do a Spotify or YouTube Premium or something like that, and it gets them around all the hiccups of financing and all that, of getting a real, streaming service for music. This is the perfect app. This is the perfect app for somebody that just can't afford one. And I think it's a great thing.
Okay. Now, do you see yourself continuing to use it? Does this fit into your the way you want to
yeah.
consume content? Okay. All right. I'm gonna jump to Jinda. What do you think? Is this something that you could see yourself using? Does it fit like your application portfolio of regular apps?
Yeah, I would use it probably quite a bit. I thought it was great. I like I said, the only thing I probably would add to it is I would like it to minimize to my taskbar, but I mean that's a minor little complaint.
Right. Okay.
One of its best features is you do not have to open an account or forfeit any of your personal information to actually run it.
Good point.
That is a good point. Say, okay, look, I know Leviticus. Do you have the ability to? Do you have a microphone? I don't know if you wanted to. Oh, he didn't use this. Okay. All right. No worries. So, Sirvan, what do you have any like? Do you see yourself using Myuzi like long term?
So I already have Spotify. I've been using it since like probably 2 years.
Okay.
This app I like. It's very minimal. I don't want additional features like Dan wants videos. Like I think it's good as is, because it just works. Doesn't have any bloat. Nothing. It just works. But I'm already like I use Spotify across several devices. I like the what do you call that? AirPlay. What do they call that feature in Spotify? You can just play on different devices.
I don't know. I can't afford it.
And I'm on the student discount, so
Okay.
it's just $5 a month.
Spotify has probably one of the best, if not the best, like multi-device control and
Yes,
sync
yeah.
systems I've ever seen. Like it,
Oh.
That's what I say.
it's better than like Google's native one, Apple's
Yep.
native one. It is insane, and it integrates
It's
between
so good.
everything from
Everything.
Alexa to Google, and you can do multiple different ones at the same time. Like, and you can control it from the Spotify app. You can control through Alexa and Google and all of that without ever having
At the
to
same
leave.
time, we can do like
Oh,
I can press pause on my phone now, and I can say, "Hey Google, let's stop playing." Like it works. Like
mhm.
it's really good.
It's amazing.
Google
Huh.
saying something. Yeah. So like that way, I already like Spotify. Again, I'm on a cheaper plan. Probably not for too long, but it's been really good. And also one thing which I don't think this will replace, it's the Spotify curation. They really have good playlists. Like YouTube Music, YouTube makes whatever they put out sucks. Like it's so bad, the YouTube like music ecosystem. Like there's no curation. It's random stuff which you watch. But Spotify's curation, like recommendation, like forget about recommendations, just their curation of playlists which they make of genres you like, it's like really, really good. Like I've not seen anything like I've probably used Amazon Music for about a year before I switched to Spotify. It's not like Amazon is like doesn't is not even close. Like the amount of curation and also the recommendations. And there's also something called song radio in Spotify. You just go to a song and it plays a radio song. So that way, like, it's hard for me to switch to something else right now. But like as Shikul says, like the multi-device play feature is good because again, I have several different devices. My tablet is, I use an iPad, I use an Android phone, I have Raspberry Pis, I have Windows computer, I have everything. So I need like cross-device compatibility, and Spotify has that right now. I don't think any other service is even close.
It's really cool too because if you're listening to, like, say if you're at home and you're listening to Spotify on like a smart speaker or something, and let's say you take your phone out to your car and you go to leave and you open the Spotify app, it'll just be like, hey, do you want to continue here? You press it and it just resumes. You're exactly where you were with
Wow.
whatever music journey and queue and playlist. You don't have to do anything.
And even on your phone, if you are in a car, the same thing. Like anything, it's
Huh.
it's
So
like
good.
really cool. Like I don't use podcast on Spotify. I try to use it. I use Pocket Cast, but for
Mm.
people who are really into Spotify ecosystem, who use podcasts there too, it's like you play a podcast on your phone, you get it on your PC at the same like moment. Hi, Mark.
Did you see
Oh.
the nerd shirt?
You see his nerd shirt?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
no,
so
we get
cool.
it.
The
Yeah.
Linux conference nerd shirt.
That's
I'm not wearing mine. I didn't. I was a loser. So
And the back
There's a text
says,
on the
I'm
top.
not sure if you'll be able to see it, but it says, Chamad 777, licensed to be killed.
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
That's funny. Good James Bond.
Who else
So-
is there? Sorry to
cool.
interrupt your thing.
Oh no, you're totally
hey,
cool.
Hey, Dan Kelly, Shravan.
Look, Linux Ninja's there. Do you see
oh,
that?
Linux Ninja.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Are you home already, Linux Ninja? No, okay, all right.
That is so trippy.
It's funny. Yeah, it's
All right.
I think that it's nice to actually meet people here itself. It's fun. And Noah's been running by back and forth, but
And
he's,
Leviticus, I understand you're here, but I haven't met you in person, so, or at least I
I'm
don't think I have.
jealous.
yeah, Leviticus is sneaky, so
Yeah, okay.
he's sneaky like Linux Ninja. Well, awesome. I want to go on to so Dan, you said you're going to keep using Myuzi as well.
I don't see why not. It's so
Okay.
easy to install. I just add it to my flat pack install list.
I'll be quiet.
Cool.
Not only that, I do a lot of testing. I work with the peppermint guys. I can throw it on a peppermint machine and have some fun with it. So I'm using their stuff and looking for bugs. There's no reason why I can't use it.
Okay. Now, Shikl, did you? I didn't hear much. Did you play with it much? A little
I
bit.
did, yes.
Yeah. And so your thoughts on it? Is it something
I
you
think
continue
it's
to
a
use?
pretty cool little tool. I think I like how simple it is. Everyone knows I'm a fan of really simple, straightforward apps, so it gets a plus in my book, to be totally honest with you.
Do you feel like this is an app that could very easily fit, with maybe some UI changes, very easily fit into the elementary ecosystem of applications?
Ooh, I think I could see something like this in the App Center. I definitely with some maybe adjustments to, like you said, the UI and kind of how you get to your queue and stuff. But no, I could see it.
Yeah, because I'm just saying the simplicity of it, the ease of use, and everything else. It seems like it's
Yeah.
seems like with just some visual tweaks and maybe just some slight user interface tweaks, it would be
Yeah, it's
essentially
not too far off.
right. That was just my thought. So Linux Ninja, I saw
agree.
that you were using it live here on the Zoom. Is this something that you might see yourself using long term? Did your arch bite you?
False audio.
These things happen. I can come back to you. Ben, you've been using. You said you were not using it this last week.
No, I was not, but overall, I've heard some pretty good things, and I do stream a heap of music from like Spotify and other proprietary platforms a lot, like YouTube and several other places, like the Apple Music app, things like that. And I think that if I do check this out, which I do plan to do sometime in the future, on my Storm OS here laptop, I will likely install it, hopefully this week sometime if I get the time, and try it out. And hopefully this will moved me further into more of an open source environment.
Cool. What,
I
Colin?
also kind of want to just point out that I was able to get it working on Mac OS, so
Of course you were.
cross-platform. It's now officially a cross-platform app.
Now, is it like using some sort of a Nixos Flatpak kind of a wedge?
Yeah, no, it's not just on the App Store, but maybe someday.
I do have a consideration kind of warning. If you're using this for the first time and you're selecting a bunch of playlists and you're using headphones, be aware that one song may be dramatically louder than the next song or the song before that, and you may not want to blow out your ears. Use it on open speakers first until you know the music.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll get to Colin because he's being polite and has his hand up.
Yeah, sometimes I tend to just jump in when there's a gap and I shouldn't do. But I was going to say, I don't know if anyone's mentioned, because if I'm reading, I zone out and I can't hear. But it would be nice to have a export. So if you go to another computer, you can export what you've already downloaded back in.
That would be nice.
Would be a nice feature to have. Yeah.
It's like an easy import-export feature right there in the settings. Be great.
Yeah. Otherwise, you've got to go back and search for your songs again. So
that sounds like a fantastic feature request.
You might be able to find the folder in the var folder in your home folder where all the Flatpaks are stored. That's got the list in it. I was able to
I agree. That is something that these guys should add in an update, because I mean, say like you've got your laptop, for example, in my case, that you're sitting on here, and you want to take your playlist or whatever it is that you want to download your songs onto, don't want to have to re-download all the songs and that sort of thing. It would be nice to have the playlist on another machine, so that way you don't have to mess with it. Or say you want to give it to your friends and family, something like that, if they're interested. That would be a nice gesture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Well, I think it's a neat app. I enjoyed using it. I don't know that I would necessarily like use it long term, because I'm one of those people that still listens to terrestrial radio. I just like put that on and call it good. So, and I got my.
And where's the music license from? Did we talk about that?
I still use vinyl.
Well, of course you do, Dan.
But I can use this for an exception.
Yeah. Well, vinyl and Myuzi, that seems fair. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a great application. I think an import-export would be really good. Totally agree with that. The theming, it doesn't like fit into the theme, like it's not pulling the Flatpak dark theme properly. Don't know why. But outside of that, I think it actually runs. I mean, it runs great. I had great performance with actually playing the music. Creating PlayStations. That's next door. Talking about PlayStations next door. Creating playlists, super easy. I do have one concern about, like, if you have, let's say you have 100 playlists. I don't know if anyone is quite that crazy, but how the menu would be if you have like that many playlists. I don't know how well that scales out when you add something to a playlist. Maybe it'd be fine. I have no idea. But outside of that, I think it's a great application, and I think it's something I'll keep on my system. I'm not gonna get rid of it, but I don't know how much I'm actually going to use it. I might use it for like the Star Trek music, that playlist, because I like those different like mega suites that are out there, one after another. But I'm more of a terrestrial radio guy.
This is interesting. On their GitLab page, they actually show the dark version theme.
Yeah, mine's a dark version. Well, see, I'm on GNOME, and I'm running a dark version on GNOME, and I also got it from the AUR, so it's not a Flatpak. So mine integrates really well. It's quite nice. Looks part of the system. Yep.
Well, I am not quite so fortunate. I don't know what the problem is. Perhaps more investigation on my end.
Version 0.7.2. Give them a little ways to get to version 1.
Yeah, for sure.
Fair enough.
Well, all right. Does anybody else have anything else they want to kick out about it? Say, offer?
So the source of the music is all from YouTube.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay.
All right. Well, if not, we will be doing more application explorations, application appetizers. So feel free to send any suggestions to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com, or you can tag, application appetizer in the Telegram, Matrix, Discord, or discourse forums, whatever you want to do. Just feel free. Send out. We're not gonna do an application next week. Next week we have a news flight coming up, and if there's anything in the news that maybe you want to bring, write it down. You can suggest it. In fact, if you bring a topic you want to talk about, feel free to just let me know ahead of time on the show, and I will prioritize that just so we can get it in there. So it's not just topics that I choose. All right, so let's move on to some Linux news. I'm going to muddle our way through the Linux news. As always, a big thanks to Michael of This Week's in Linux for mixing up a great flight of topics. Although he didn't change the live stream title, but that's okay. So in distro news, something that I think is near and dear to my heart, OpenSUSE Leap 15.4 has been released. It is now available for download. And for those that don't know, OpenSUSE Leap is a community edition of the project that also happens to be built from the same shared sources as SLE 15 SP4 or Service Pack 4. OpenSUSE Leap 15.4 introduces Leap Micro 5.2 as the newest version of its lightweight operating system designed for containers and virtualized workloads. Leap 15.4 also introduces improved multimedia codec installation via Cisco Open H.264 integration, open source graphics drivers improvements, shipping of NVIDIA RTX 30 signed framework packages, PHP 8.1 is included for web servers, and more. Leap 15.4 also receives updates to some of the desktop environments, such as now being shipped with KD Plasma 5.24, GNOME 41, Enlightenment 0.25, and Mate 1.26 as desktop options. So if you'd like to learn more about it, you can go to news.opensuse.org. It's one of the latest articles there. Or you can go to git.opensuse.org if you want to try it out. Does anybody here run OpenSUSE besides me? Oh, Shickle, that's right. Shickle. Yep, you run on the server.
Sorry, Nate, I don't.
No, you don't. You probably run your. I'm guessing you run StormOS. Is that
Yes,
true?
sir.
I wasn't sure. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I do.
So I know one of the complaints of OpenSUSE has been the codec installation troubles because they for legal reasons. So it looks like the H.264 codec from Cisco's H.264 codec. I have not used that particular codec yet. I'm running Tumbleweed and I've got some other stuff installed. Has anybody has anybody installed? No, probably no one's here. No one here is probably installed it, I'm guessing. But I'm curious to see if this improves the experience in setting up OpenSUSE Leap. Which, by the way, we will be doing this on an exploration in the near future.
What about H.265, Nate? Like, I think many videos use H.265 now.
Yep. Oh, is it 265 now?
Yeah.
No, we need both actually.
Okay.
We need both because again, certain videos use H.264. You need like as many codecs as you want because you want to play all your videos, right?
Right. Yes, it's the Cisco Open H.264 integration. That's what it says.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't a lot of Linux distros just put an option to install codecs and leave it and give it the the responsibility of the user to install it?
Yeah, I'll do that.
On a lot of Linux distros, even Ubuntu don't have like the lib DVD CSS and things to play DVDs and whatever. So why don't Linux distros just put an option to install those codecs?
There are some legal reasons for it. I know that with OpenSUSE and with SUSE and Red Hat being the sponsoring projects of Fedora and OpenSUSE, they have to be very careful what they even include on there as to not get sued. It's for legal reasons.
Even a checkbox for somebody.
Even a checkbox.
They can't even do that.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wowee.
You can get it through Debian very easy for the DVD codecs. It's in the repository. All you have to do is ask for it, but then you got to run the reconfigure script to actually plug it into your system.
Well, me personally, I will be installing, doing an upgrade on my Leap 15.3 to 15.4 here in the next week, for sure. I'd like
You're
to.
gonna take the leap.
Yeah, well, it's a small leap. It's not very
Take
difficult.
the
We
leap.
expect that from you.
It's an easy
So
leap.
Nate, so Nate, let's just imagine you are in an elevator somewhere
Yes. Okay.
around the world, and
I like where this is going.
you wanted to sell OpenSUSE to somebody in an elevator.
Mhm.
What would your selling point be?
What would my selling point be for OpenSUSE Leap
OpenSUSE.
in general or Leap?
Well, Leap is the I believe I was watching a video yesterday. I believe Leap is the like a long-term support, whereas the Tumbleweed is rolling. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, Leap. Let's go for the long-term support.
Okay.
Leap.
Well, if you have a system that you're going to rely on for, let's say, a production system, and you don't want to have to worry about things breaking between updates, and if you want an insurance policy so that should you decide to make a great decision on your system and you end up breaking it, it's very easy to recover it like it never even happened with a snapshot rolling system, snapshot rollback system. So it's very, it's also very tolerant to your if you have poor sysadmin discipline, it's very tolerant to anything that you might fail to do. Even Tumbleweed, I know we're talking about Leap here, but for Tumbleweed, extremely tolerant. Like if you don't update, which is the rolling distribution, for 6 months, a year, it will tolerate it and put in the packages smartly so that it doesn't break. Essentially, it'll keep running along. It'll keep spinning, keep tumbleweeding along. So the other thing too is because OpenSUSE has the Open QA system, all their packages go through a QA process, an automated QA process that really takes care of a lot of the bugs and issues before any patches come down. So everything is very well tested out. And actually, as time goes on, that automated QA system gets even better because they keep making adjustments to it to make more thorough testing. So the longer you run Leap, or OpenSUSE anyway, the chances are your experience is going to improve over time because of the rigorous testing process. So I would say that would be what I would say. But mostly, you can make mistakes and roll them back, and like it never even happened. That's the big thing for me, actually. The whole Butterfly snapshot system.
Oh, that's the Butterfs. What's the main tool used for the snapshots? Is there?
It's called Snapper. It's called Snapper.
Snapper. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Yes.
It's a really good tool. Like you have it on Arch too. You can just take snapshot of whatever subvolumes you have. I by mistake did RMRF my home directory, and I was like, okay, I just go to a snapshot 1 hour back, everything is there. I lose nothing.
One time when I was learning how to do snapshots, and this was before I used tools like Snapper, I was just doing it manually in a terminal. I once remounted my root volume to another directory and then made a snapshot of that directory and deleted the original one because I thought that was like somewhere else. And needless to say, use Snapper and not do what I did. It helps a lot.
And it's good if you have a GUI tool on Snapper, like OpenSUSE does, because again, these things are critical, so it's easy to have a GUI guiding you. Like, okay, what snapshot do you want to delete? What do you want to restore? What snapshots you have? It's easier with a GUI tool rather than like Snapper list all the snapshots you have. Like,
I will say,
especially if you have Yeah, go ahead.
The one thing that I wish there was is a little bit of an easier button with the snapper rollback. It's not hard to do. You can just do it. You can invoke the command in terminal snapper rollback. So like when you go into a read-only snapshot and you want to roll back to that snapshot, it's not really it's if there's a GUI tool for it, it's not a simple easy button like roll back.
So on Arch, you have again an AR package called ButterFS Assistant. I showed Linux Ninja a month ago. It's made by one of the members of our Endeavor community. So it's a really good GUI tool around Snapper and ButterFS maintenance. So you can also schedule scrubs, balances, and other stuff, along with Snapper, and also you have other systemd services around the time snappers. So every hour, every day, every week, those sort of stuff. Like it's a really cool tool. I know it's on Fedora too. I don't know if it is on OpenSUSE, but it's on both Fedora and Arch, the AUR. But you can build it. Like you can actually build it. There are instructions in GitHub. I think it's still alpha. I'm not sure, but it works for me at least, even on the Raspberry Pi. So it works on whatever architecture you want.
Well, that's pretty cool. Probably just I'm guessing it just uses the existing Snapper tools and just provides the interface for it. Yep. Okay.
But it's a really good interface. At least, again, I can probably learn to use the Snapper command lines, but it's like, okay, I have deleted as I said, I deleted my home directory. I just logged on into root. I opened that app and I was like, okay, I can roll back and now I have my home again.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you can save yourself from a horrific mistake, it's a wonderful thing.
Like I have everything back up, and also all my code is on GitHub. I can just git pull and do everything, but again, it takes time to set up everything, right?
Right. Well, so you probably have a little bit of data in home, I'm guessing. Like if I lost my home directory, I would be in a world of hurt.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's my Raspberry Pi, so it's not my data driver, so I don't care that much.
I have a clone of my home directory.
So as in other distro news, Tails OS 5.1 was released. It was released this week, and it includes some improvements to the Tor connection assistant and a handling of captive portals. But the most significant change is the delayed fix to a server security vulnerability that was found in the Tor browser in a previous version of Tails. This even sparked suggestions that some users should stop using Tails, at least temporarily. A security vulnerability was discovered in the JavaScript engine of Firefox and Tor browser. Oh, see, now I'm thinking of Schickel again. We had that conversation about Chrome versus... All right, so one for Schickel again. See the Mozilla Foundation Security Advisory 2022-19. This vulnerability allows a malicious website to bypass some of the security built into the Tor browser and access information from other websites. Tails 5.1 fixes this security issue. Also in this release, Tor Connection Assistant now automatically fixes the computer clock if you choose to connect to Tor automatically. This makes it much easier for people in Asia to circumvent censorship. Tails learns the current time by connecting to the captive portal detection service of Fedora, which is used by most Linux distributions. This connection does not go through the Tor network and is the exception to our policy of the only making internet connection through the Tor network. So if you'd like to learn more, go to Tails, look for the Tails news, the tails.baum.org news version 5.1. So does anybody here use Tails? I'm guessing probably Linux Ninja is a Tails expert just because it seems like that's something he would do. No? Nobody here? Dan, your hand is up. So polite.
My hand's up not because I'm a Tails user.
Do you have to use the restroom?
No. Does this mean that if you have an old installation of Tor browser that it has a vulnerability and you should seek a newer version?
I would make that assumption that there's potential vulnerabilities in the older version of the Tor browser, and that would be, I think it's a reasonable assumption for sure.
Okay.
And then Schickel's going to tell you that Chrome's better.
Yeah.
I don't don't have a thing against big corporations.
Nate, do you know how to get Chrome on the Raspberry Pi?
Chrome, no, but I use Chromium on the Raspberry Pi. That works very well. In fact, in some ways, don't tell Shickle. So Shickle, can you plug your earmuffs? I'm kidding. Yeah, kind of like the opposite of earmuffs, I guess. But I find that I have a little bit better experience with Chromium on my Raspberry Pi performance-wise than Firefox, and I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, I think so. I should probably move to Chromium.
Yeah.
But I'm using Firefox Sync. It's
Right.
easy to just
Yep.
sync all the extensions and other stuff history.
Sure.
That's the reason why I'm using, because Chromium doesn't have that.
So.
But I would guess like video playback and other things are better in Chromium. The limited time I tried it on Raspberry Pi, but I'm still thinking if there's a way I can get the sync working, I can probably just use Chromium instead of and ditch Firefox.
So I'll make a comment around Tails. The thing is that with Tails, you need to really make sure that you are hidden, and if people sometimes have a false security with, oh, I'm on Tails, I should be secure. Well, you know what? It actually, you have to be very conscientious of that you are protected. You need to make sure you check. I'm not always that focused on if I'm hidden or not. So unfortunately, sometimes I just say, hey, you know what? I'm not focused on it, so I'm not going to be doing those bad things, and that I need to use Tails to hide myself. And this vulnerability points out that you know, and this happens from time to time with Tails, right? There's been other times where you may, because of something, you may have been exposed, right? So it just brings to the point that you may use that because you're security conscious, but check but verify, right? Don't just trust it. And so this is one of those times where maybe we don't use Tails until it's patched and the vulnerability's gone. But just keep in mind, those types of things.
Right, but it looks like it's been patched now, so I think it's good. So that new release is out. All right. Well, we are at about time. It's gonna be a shorter show today because there's a lot of things going on here, and as much as I love all you people, I don't get to do scale every week. So I want to, experience scale. I'm actually, in the after show, I'm going to take the laptop around and walk around if you guys want to see things, if you want to, on the Zoom, and keep it going as long as my battery will hold out, which it should. It's fine now. So, with that, go ahead. You say something else you're going to say?
You said scale, not self.
Yeah.
Self. Oops, self. I know what my problem is. Let's pretend like I didn't say that. I'll make sure I cut that out or not.
No, that's fun. You should keep it.
So this way people know that I'm great at making mistakes. All right, so it's closing time and therefore last call. Mark, you are a Atlantic Linux users group.
Yeah, so the Atlanta Linux Users Group meets every Sunday from 3 to 6 Eastern. And again, there is no set presentation. It's if you need help, reach out to us. You'll find all the instructions for our meetup on ale.org, ALE.org. And again, you're welcome to bring your topic. We'll talk about Linux. We'll try to help you out. And again, that's every Sunday. It is the Atlanta Linux group, but since with COVID, everyone's online. Everyone is welcome to join and listen in. We do ask that you set your name and at least announce yourself so that we know that you at least have some interest. But yeah, we're out there. It's a resource you can use to get a little help with Linux and talk about open source software.
Now, will you be there tomorrow?
If I make it home in time, I'll be there. I may, but we have a set of regulars. We're typically somewhere around 10 that join every Sunday. And if I can't make it tomorrow, there'll be plenty of people that'll be there to help out anyone. But again, it's not just tomorrow, but it's each Sunday. Keep that in mind. We want to make sure there's, in the Linux community, these user groups have kind of maybe fizzled over the years. I want to welcome people to to our meeting, and you're welcome to join, even if you're remote. We have a gentleman who joins from Copenhagen quite often. Some people that join from California and other states. You're just welcome. Thank you.
Cool. And then also Steve, he couldn't be here because he's at some sort of a
He's in Metropolis.
Metropolis doing like an anime convention. I don't know, something fancy. He's actually not too
Family
far from me,
fun.
really. He's having some family fun.
Is he putting on his Superman suit or something?
I
Is he?
hope so. I hope he's doing an Aquaman. That's what I'm hoping for.
Good man.
So, but he does his. I don't know if he's doing a Sunday morning coffee clash tomorrow. He
Nope.
may not be because he's
No.
probably out. So I don't think he is.
He tweeted he's on vacation.
Yeah. Okay. So Destination Linux is streaming live tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Linux User Space, they did a live stream this past week. I don't know if anyone participated in that, but I think they're spinning back up. I don't know when they're doing the next show, but they are active. Linux Out Loud, we did a show. I don't remember what we talked about, and I'm not going to look it up because I have a goldfish memory. But you can check that out every Wednesday. Release another episode of Linux Out Loud. Anything more on me, you can go to cubicle8.com. And Linux Saloon is part of the Tux Digital Network, so check out more great shows at tuxdigital.com. I want to thank all of you for being a part of the conversation in both the Zoom meeting and the YouTube stream, as well as everyone for watching the show after the fact. I want to thank everyone involved in making the Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back into personal computers, so thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yas.
Bye.
Bye.
And make sure we got that out there. All right, so let's stop streaming and stop. Oh, I can't hear you. All right, well, let me do that.
No, that's fine.
Let me
That's a
do
good
that
call.
whole thing all over again, since I totally biffed that because,
All right.
here we go. All right. This is first time, right?
Oh, we can't hear him. You're muted, Nate.
You're muted, Nate.
The host is muted.
Of course I'm muted. I'm trying to mute so you don't hear the traffic going by, as they say things.
Oh,
Yeah,
Nate, you're
still
muted.
muted.
nobody put the
Well-
link in Telegram.
I did actually put the link in
got it.
Telegram.
Yeah,
You
it was
did?
there. That's where
Yeah.
I got it from.
That's where Jinda got it from.
I
Yeah.
got it from Element.
Well, maybe it's there. It's also in
Did you
Discord.
put it in Tux Digital or Saloon?
Saloon.
Sloan.
Honest.
I don't see it anywhere.
That's okay. It's okay, Dan. It's part of the pinned messages. So it's
Oh,
it's
there
right
it
there.
is. Duh, I'm having a Dan moment.
It's all right. So okay.
Completely. New comments and everything.
Yep. I
Did
will.
did you try reversing the polarity on the input buffer?
I didn't, and I probably should have. I know that in Star Trek, whenever you reverse the polarity, it solves whatever the problem is. So
That's where I
Um,
learned it.
so I am going to give me
Yes.
just a second here. I need to kind of reset things up.
It's the cross circuit of A to C that solves the problem.
Not according to Scotty.
No, according to Spock.
Yeah, of course.
One moment, please. I do have another issue here.
We are temporarily experiencing technical difficulties. One moment, please.
4 hours later.
Next update in 2 hours.
V stand by for station identification.
Michael's got a live video up. He's probably messed you up.
I have a working stream at the moment.